Hello, welcome to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and we've just arrived at the Defender's Heart, and we're about to start talking to people, and after we just leveled up to level 3, see what is going on here. Hey wait, mind if I bend your ear about something? Anavia is outside your door, leaning casually against a shelf. So here's the first and most important thing. Beth gave you a crucial mission. I get that, and I know you'll get the job done. I saw you in action, but here's the rub. By sending you out on an errand, we're weakening our defences here. If they come at us while you're gone, I don't know if we'll be able to fight them off. Everything seems clear so far. What else do you wish to discuss? That seems a bit of an odd response. Do you want me to stay here and guard the tavern? You? What? No. Your task is far too important. You can't just hole up here all cosy like, waiting for the demons to knock on the door. We'll need to take the fight to them. But if those freaks try to make a move on this place, Beth will send a runner to get you. If that happens, you leg it back here, alright? Because if you don't, you'll be coming back to an ash pile. Got it? When do you think the demons will attack next? Your guess is as good as mine. It might not be here. They could attack the whole damn city. Those vermin know they've lost the upper hand, and that we're going to push back hard. If things kick off here, you should know, after they attack, some things could be changed beyond recognition. So if you've got any business that needs taken care of, you better do it soon. Everything seems clear so far. What else do you wish to discuss? So the rift that damned beetle left with its scythe, it cut the city into two, and it's kind of difficult to get across. My scouts tell me there's a halfway decent place to set up a crossing in Market Square. Not that any of them tried to make sure, but if you've got a mind to go across, and I think you're going to have to eventually, you might want to give the square a once over. Thank you for the warning. See you later. Later, watch yourself out there. Okay, that's given us another quest to do. What have we got here? Let's just speak to Camellia quickly. Camellia looks you over pensively, toying with the snake-shaped bone amulet that dangles from her pale neck. Noticing your glance, she flashes you a cold, barely there smile. Greetings. It seems for a moment that she wants to say something else, but the pause grows too long, and she slips back into cautious silence. Tell me about yourself. You want to know more about me than you already do? Why? Camellia arches a dainty brow. I talk to the spirits of this tormented land, and they guide me in battle. I help you fight the demons, and I swear that you can rely on me in this matter. Isn't that sufficient? Where did you learn to wield a rapier so well? I had good teachers, although they don't get all the credit. I'm a most diligent student. Camellia licks her parched lips. Your amulet is quite unusual. Where did you get it? Ah, my little trinket. It's so nice of you to notice, but I assure you this amulet is nothing but a bauble. Can a lady not be drawn to beautiful, useless things? You're much more relaxed during combat. Your battle cries are uninhibited. She blushes slightly and lowers her eyes. So you've noticed. To be honest, I find it embarrassing. You see, being a shaman means having a spirit of battle as my ever-present companions. In the heat of combat, they become rather vocal. Anyway, as much as I enjoy your delightful conversations, the spirits are calling me, and I must respond. Please excuse me. She turns away, watching you out the corner of her eye. I feel like there's still something else to talk about. Oh yeah. Your speech tells me you are of noble birth. Camellia laughs her practiced musical laugh as she watches you from under lowered lashes. You're most insightful, a fine quality to have. Camellia's laughter ends, an unspoken word hangs in silence. Forgive me if my questions disturb you. I couldn't resist such a noble and beautiful lady. I will stop bothering you immediately if talking to me upsets you. Not at all. Our conversation is an exquisite delight. Camellia affords you a brief, friendly smile in appreciation of your manners. Okay, I have to go. We'll talk later. I won't keep you. The dawning smile on Camellia's face freezes and quickly dies away. Okay, we've got Staunton Vane over here. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel, one whose high crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty, lightless windows make it clear that all inside is dead. Oh dear. Oh, it's you. Good work back there in the grey garrison. Name's Staunton Vane. If you've heard rumours about me. His face, which looks like it's never known anything as carefree as a smile, grimaces. Just so you know, Everything people say about me, it's true. I need to talk to the elf who calls himself the storyteller. Do you know where I can find him? The storyteller? He strokes his beard in thought. A strange old fellow, that one. He used to sit with me for hours asking about all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort, he just listened. At first I wanted him and his questions as far away from me as possible, but later I realised that talking to him did ease my burden a little. I hope he is alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble too, so if he's alone in the city, well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Blackwing. It's a library. Here, I'll show you where it is on the map. I don't know what use a library is to a blind elf, but he loved the place. He would sit there day and night. What do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor as bad as Arilu Vorlesh. That I'm a disgrace even among the ranks of the condemned. That Queen Galfrey should never have spared me. That I belong on the gallows. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know? Staunton gives you a long, morose look, then sighs. I'm the reason why the Crusade forces are holed up in the fortress on the edge of the Whirlwind instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have a foothold in the Wound, the mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it, until it fell, and all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. I was tried. They wanted to execute me, and rightly so, but the Queen intervened. She said that I could live and fight in order to undo what I had done. So that's how I live, decade after decade, fighting in the condemned. The dwarf shrugs. As you can see, I have fixed nothing, and I have earned no one's forgiveness. Are you going to spit in my face too? It wouldn't surprise me. I hope you earn forgiveness. Thank you. From the depths of my soul, I thank you. But I haven't had hope for a long, long time. Oh dear. A whole city fell because of you? How is that possible? What do you mean, how? The knight glares at you from beneath his burrowed brows. If you don't trust the word of a condemned, go ask somebody else, like my brother, Joran. And if you still don't believe it, what's it to me? But if you are about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the 1000th time, don't. You really don't have any friends? I couldn't have survived this long if I were completely alone. Joran, my little brother, he keeps me going. He's never abandoned me. Everyone else shies away from me like they might catch what I've got. Even fighters in the condemned console themselves by thinking, I got stripped of my rank, but at least I'm not Staunton. Commander Tirobade seems to be the only person in the whole army who remembers that I'm a soldier and not a drudge. She has no qualms about taking me into battle. She has some mud flung at her in the past, or so I hear. That's why she tries to keep an open mind about people. It's no surprise that she's the only one to hold on to her sense of reason in this farce. So many years in the condemned, surely you've paid your penance by now. That's not up for me to decide. My life is in the Queen's hand. He falls silent for a moment, and then in a trembling voice he adds, the condemned isn't the worst part. All these years I have prayed to Torag for forgiveness. Countless times I have gone to the priest. Countless times I've kneeled before his altar. If only the father of the dwarven kind would answer my prayers just once. Not to restore what I've lost, but just to tell me that I'm still one of his children. But it seems he doesn't give a damn about me. What can I expect from mere mortals, when my own God doesn't think I deserve redemption? I have to go. Go on then. Maybe we'll see each other again. Wow, that's a depressing story. Let's speak to Horgus. 1,000 gold coins for you, just as promised. You helped me get back to the surface, and I duly paid you for escorting me. Horgus Gwyrm always keeps his word. Now, speaking of our future cooperation. Okay. I have a job that would be perfect for somebody like you. Naturally, I'll pay generously for your services. What do you mean, a job for someone like me? For an adventurer ready to sell their soul for booze, and then lie down drunk in the gutter? Or do you think you're somehow different? A travelling knight, perhaps, noble of heart, but without a coin to your name. Horgus sizes you up critically, then sighs and shrugs. You seem a reliable enough ally to me, and you did get me out of those mongrel caves, so why should I care what you do with my money once you've got it? Horgus seems like one of those people who thinks the entire world owes him something. However, you hear notes of hysteria beneath his smug arrogance. It's as though he's really quite nervous, but taking great pains to conceal it. Noble birth doesn't give you the right to behave badly. I would ask that you refrain from such statements in future. Oh really? How impudent. No one dares tell Horgus Gwyrm how to address the rabble. Well, he's a lovely chap, isn't he? So what does this job involve? You shall be my bodyguard, you see. I've good reason to return to my mansion here in Knarbus. I still have. Well, it doesn't matter. It's none of your business. My mansion is a breathtaking building, with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked, every thief and fraudster in the city had tried to get inside one way or another. I shudder to imagine the state it is in now. I have little hope that my guards were able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect that the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abadar knows what's happened in there since. I think I would ask you to meet me at my mansion and guard me there until I complete my business. I already asked the local paladins for help, but they have no desire to set foot outside the taverns. Damn cowards and traitors, that's what they are. Also, please, do take Camellia with you. I trust the girl more than the rest of your gang. She is of noble birth, after all. What kind of reward are we talking about? 1,000 gold coins, August replies without hesitation. Got a small chance to try and double it. The way my luck's gone so far, I'm pretty certain I won't get that one, but let's have a go. Yeah, failed. Ha, yeah right, for that kind of money I could hire the Queen Galfrey herself to guard me. 1,000 is my final offer. How close did I get? 20. Deal. Marvellous, most excellent. August's face relaxes, smoothing a few of the tense lines. I'll proceed to my mansion at once and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand, but do hurry unless you want me to lower your reward. Okay, that's yet another mission. Okay, let's have a little chat to Gemil. A strange figure towers over the bar, a huge, ungainly man with skin so milky white that his blue veins are visible even from a distance. His bald head is equal parts lumpy and pitted, and blood-filled eyes stare impassively out at you from beneath his pale brows. The glass in the albino's large, clumsy hand looks dangerously delicate, as if one twitch of those callous fingers would be enough to crush it. A gold medallion engraved with a tankard gleams around his neck. What'll it be? Who are you? The albino slowly takes your measure with his red eyes, and finally with a gentle sigh says, Gemil Hawks, vampire. Are you really a vampire? No. How did you end up in the Crusader City? How did anyone end up here? How did you, or them? With a huge hand, the tavern keeper gestures to the ragtag group assembled in the room. The world is big, but still there is a place for everyone. People who no longer have a life anywhere else, they end up here. Any news in the city? There are demons everywhere, and you showed up. Okay. Are there any places in the city worth visiting? If you mean places that normal people usually stay well away from, then there are plenty, like the Pitaxian wine cellar. Gemel pauses for effect, like the name of the place alone should make you quiver in fear. It once belonged to a Pitaxian trading house. Then King Iraveti came to power in Pitax, and the property started changing hands. Soon after, the seller's shop assistant was found in a ditch. Not all of him, mind, just his head. Numerian gangsters have taken possession of the place. They wanted to sell something stronger than wine on the street, and they ended up on the gallows. Then King Iraveti's number was up. So now the store stands emptied and unclaimed. People say that a headless ghost wanders the place at night, moaning ghoulishly. Ooh. Okay. Just don't ask me how he makes any noise with no head. I wasn't there. I just tell it like I heard it. Okay. Show me what you have. Right. So, what have we got? No. Okay, so we've got Dark Omen. Allows you to cast spells spontaneously. Ray of Enfeeblement, Scare, Ray of Exhaustion, Waves of Fatigue. Okay. Got no one who could use that really at the moment, so I'll leave that. Cast a cantrip or a first level spell. The spell deals 1 additional point of damage per dice rolled. Okay. Might be useful for something like magic missile, maybe. Don't want it right. I'll put that in the back locker and think about it for later. Dark Veil. Once per day you may use this item to grant your party total concealment against ranged attacks. Seems quite expensive for that. Bottomless Mug. Drinking from the mug gives a character 2 bonus on saving throws against fear for an hour. Okay. Got various potions. Lots and lots of potions. Not going to be buying any of them yet because I don't know what I need. But There's plenty. He's where you get your potions. Spicy pastry, comprehensive guide to cooking a tasty dish. I feel like I should buy that. First aid kits. I guess it would probably be worth having a few of them. They're cheap enough. Bag of holding. The bag of holding opens into a non-dimensional space. It allows the party to carry additional £100 of weight without suffering any negative consequences. Okay. I mean, that will be useful. But again, maybe not. I'm not really struggling for weight at the moment when I've got my party together. So I will buy it, but buy it later, I think. 2.5, yeah, because I have other plans for the money at the moment. It's just, oh yeah, I've got to come out of here first. Let me read that recipe. Okay. So there's a couple of things there that might prove useful. See how things go. Let's pick some more stuff up here. Anyone else? No, it's that. Journo. A young man in well-worn travelling clothes and a simple wooden symbol of Everstill on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braids and bright sheaves of wheat under his breath. He raises his warm chestnut-coloured eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those of us whose talents lie off the battlefield. I'm Journo, servant of Everstill. Pleased to meet you. What are you doing? I only took my holy orders recently, so my god has only bestowed a little of his power upon me as yet. I'm sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal, but there's a reason people say have faith in the gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but I can at least cut up bandages. Are you from around here? No, I'm just passing through Canabras. I'm sailing down that old man of ours, the Great Selin River, to a village by the name of Chili Creek. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I'm ashamed to say I decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself, but I ended up staying in the city longer than I bargained for. Chili Creek? Where is that? It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some maps, but people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch, no one to give their dead a dignified burial, and the world wound is a stone's throw away. So I'll be setting sail for Chili Creek to serve my god and my people. Once we've held Canabras, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the good gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You'll find the village here on the bank of the river. He marks it on the map. Aren't you a young and inexperienced cleric afraid to go to the border of the world wound? I won't lie, I'm afraid, but what can I do? Those villagers are simple people like you and me. Every day of their short lives is spent doing hard, honest work. That's exactly the kind of life I want, something simple but meaningful. If I had centuries ahead of me, like elves and some other races do, I might have spared some 50 years or so to travel around the world. Or maybe even 100. Why not? But I don't have the time to spare, so I want to spend my short life in the place where I'm needed most, even if it is dangerous. Especially if it's dangerous. I could use the help of a cleric. Journo makes a helpless gesture. Everstill knows I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spells are depleted and I have no training in potions or scrolls. See this robe I'm cutting up for bandages? It's the second to last one. Okay, I have to go. May Everstill watch over you. Let's move into here. And we have Fawn. A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He is as pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot other bandages on his body under his clothes, but even in such a miserable state, he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, I'm Fawn Autumn Haze, at your service. His pale lips are reddened by blood, but you see no sign of pain or fear in his grey eyes. Do you need help? After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. A local healer tended to me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them. Who are you? My name is Fawn Autumn Haze. I've come here from Kyanin because I'm a hunter and all minions of evil are my quarry. I won't say more than that. If you don't mind, we are strangers and of different races and cultures. I'd rather not tell you more than is necessary. Who wounded you? A sinner and accomplice to demons. the quarry I'm hunting in this inhospitable place. I'm Andre. You can trust me. I might be able to help you. After a brief pause, Vaughan says, it would be impolite to refuse such a direct and friendly offer. Who is your quarry here in Mendev? I was hunting a fugitive, a Descarite, by the name of Kalesa. It pains me to admit that there are heinous malefactors such as her among my noble kind. I managed to catch up to her in Canabris and I wounded her. The demons appeared and the city was engulfed in flames. I was injured in the battle that ensued and couldn't free her soul from its service to her dark masters. He expressed no anger or hatred as he speaks, only compassionate sorrow. I'm sorry for your misfortune. I hope things will turn out differently next time. He purses his lips. There is no need for pity. Our ancient kind is blessed with great longevity. We gain a deeper understanding of the world than other races, and we learn our lessons better than anyone. That goes for learning from our mistakes as well. I survived, which means I will be more prepared when we meet next time. I wish to aid you in your hunt. I thank you for this mission, but this is my mission, and I'm used to facing all manners of terrors on my own. I do appreciate your willingness to help. If you happen to meet Kalesa, take caution. She has turned many innocent souls to the path of evil and darkness, has rewarded her with many gifts. Her appearance alone will tell you. It is warped. The agate skin, the malicious stare of her blood-red eyes, the bestial teeth. She's more monster than elf at this point. Knowledge World 26. Yeah, I'm not going to do that one, am I? I'm going to fail. I'd like to know more about you. I won't hold anything back, not who I am, why I made my way here, or who it is that I'm pursuing. Okay, tell me more about yourself. Other people tend to believe that identity is the sum of persons' actions and events that happen to them. For them, I am one of a long line of warriors of Kyanin, who, since his youth, has dedicated himself to hunting evil and injustice. For them, I am a successful and capable huntsman who has tracked down and slain a great many monsters. But I am an elf, and for me my identity has a different meaning. It is shaped by the place where I was born, and that I love so deeply. I'm shaped by what I find beautiful and what makes my heart quicken, by the fears that come to me in the dead of night, by the things I find so intolerable that the sight of them my very core darkens and fills with poison. Thus, to tell you who I am, I would require many days and much candour, which is more than you and I have at our disposal. Why do you choose to be a hunter of evil? Because I am the son of a noble and proud nation. We are sometimes criticised for our arrogance, but no one dares doubt our honour. When a crime is committed, we cannot turn a blind eye. If we were to abandon our obligation to oppose evil, if we were to surrender this obligation to other races, we would also relinquish our preeminence. Remind me... No, I don't need to remind me. I know who that is. Refresh, I don't need that, so I have no more questions. Okay, as you wish. I have to go. Good fortune to you. Well, that's quite a lot of reading in this area, isn't there? Let's keep moving and let's head down to the basement. Right, okay. Seeing as we can sell everything, I might as well collect everything. Oh, something's going on here. Surrender thy soul, Delvan. Iomedae, protect us. Haha, got you again. How many times is that today? Take your jokes and shove them, tiefling. Whoa, easy there, chief. Don't hit me. Okay, obviously someone's bored in jail. What's this say? Button won't budge. Okay. Let's have a little chat to Woljif.
Hey, Chief. Hey, Dreamboat, come over here. I want to talk to you about something. Something really important.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out.
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum? You were told to guard me, and I'm not stopping you. But no one told me I had to shut my trap.
Who are you?
Woljif. Woljif Jefto. I deal in useful things. I can get you whatever you want. Anything. But there's just one problem.
What do you want from me?
I'll lay it out for you. Simple job, 30 minutes tops. We go someplace, talk to someone, and in return, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. Some extra rations? No problem. Armor, weapons, scrolls, you name it. It's as good as yours. If you need my help with something, whistle and I'll be there. I'm handy enough with knives too, and even my magic know-how isn't too shabby.
What a load of guff. If you were good at magic, you wouldn't be stuck in here now, would you?
Don't you listen to him, Chief. He'd find fault with the Queen herself. I'll be useful to have in battle, and I'll sell whatever you want at a reasonable price. It's your lucky day. You won't meet another gem like me in Canabras.
Why are you in chains?
Does it really matter? Don't get hung up on the past, Chief. Don't look to the future. Live in the here and now.
He was caught thieving.
Your shadow, what was that?
Get me out of here and I'll tell you. And don't worry, it's not contagious.
I can't help you while you're chained up in here. How can I free you?
That's easy. You know Irabeth? Feisty looking gal, always wears armor. You can't miss her. She's the meanest fighter in the whole city. When you see her, put in a good word for me, will ya? Tell her there's this guy, Woljif, locked up for no good reason in the Defender's Heart. Well, for the follies of his youth. And he really wants to get out on bail so he can keep up his good behavior and make a contribution to society. Got that? Will you do it?
Alright, I'll talk to Irabeth about your situation.
I knew I could count on you. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you.
We'll talk later. Okay, let's carry on picking stuff up around here. A few odds and sods. Oh, what have we got there? So we've got... Okay, so it moves a rod. Moves it down. What's that? Is it?
Let us be on.
That moves it. So we got up, down, up. I'm assuming it's got something to do with this button over here. Won't budge. Okay, well, we'll just... There's not that many combinations it can be. Let's do this one down. That one up, sorry. Still won't budge, so we've done that, we've done that, we've done that. Let's try that one up, that one up. That one down. No, let's try that one down. No. Let's try that one down. So what we got here? Let's put that one up. And that one up. Let's try that. Still no. We can't have so many combinations left now, can we? Up. Down.
Let's move.
Down. Okay. Try up. Up. Down. Okay, we'll try up, down, down. There we go. We got it. Whatever that is. Something's moving.
Follow me.
Oh yeah, here we go. Just a few little bits and pieces. Ooh, and a helmet. And magic missile. Skull shield, mage armor, restoration list. Oh, okay, that seems like a nice little reward. Do we know what the... Headband of alluring charisma. Okay, I don't think we've got anyone who's charisma based at the moment. Don't think so. Well, I guess Seela could use the charisma, couldn't she? From a paladin point of view. Let's give that to her for now. That seems sensible. We've got a few bits and pieces to sell. Let's carry on round. I'm going to try and make sure I talk to everyone. We got Visali? A stout old man with a fuzzy grey beard mumbles a prayer. He looks as tired as everyone else in the tavern, but determination is stamped upon his haggard face. What can I do for you? Who are you? Visali Rathimus, rector of the local temple of Abadar. The temple is gone though, and if we snooze here for much longer, the city will be lost as well. Who is that boy with you? This one, Kyoda, the shepherd, my apprentice. He's a smart boy, and his faith is strong. He serves Eristil though, but there's still something he can learn from an old servant of Abadar. He'll be a great cleric when he gets a little older. What kind of help can I expect from you? First, I sell scrolls. I have lots of them, something for every emergency. Second, while you're here in the tavern, I can read one for you. Guaranteed, no surprises. But you better not go into the city without a cleric. I won't be going there myself. I'm too old and my powers are needed here. Show me the scrolls you're selling. Okay, so let's do a quick price in descending order, see what the stuff that is worth buying is. So we've got Braces of the Wizard. Armour bonus of 2, just as if they're wearing armour. And 3 competence bonus on Knowledge Arcana. Okay, it's quite expensive for it, but okay. Where the amulet is under the effect of Death Ward spell, they get a +2 morale bonus to AC against attacks of undead creatures. If they use any single target cure wound spell on a target whose current number of HP is 0 or less, the target is healed for an additional number of HP equal to their number of hit dice. Okay. So that's as long as he's under a Death Ward spell. That seems too situational for 10 grand to me. Icy Protector. Now this is the one I want to get for Sealer, to give her an extra 2 natural armour and 10 cold resistance, but we don't have enough yet. Blood Magic. We don't have anyone who's blood raging as far as I'm aware. 1 natural armour is not worth it. Daredevil Boots. Bit of extra manoeuvrability. Don't think I'll be buying that. And 1 protection. Again, seems a bit too minor to be wasting money on. Oh, so we got Scroll Scriber's kits, Alchemist kit. I don't know if we've got anyone who can actually do potions at the moment, but we do have someone. I don't think we've got anyone who can do scrolls either, to be fair. So I'm going to leave it for the moment, but obviously if we do get someone who can do it, we'll come back here and buy those. Raise the Dead. Nice. Lesser Extend Meta Magic Rod. Extend Spell Feat. Extended spell lasts twice as long as normal. Okay, I can see how that could be useful. 3rd level or lower, so it's, yeah, it might be useful getting that one. Restoration. Yeah, it could be useful later. Lots and lots and lots of scrolls here. Again, get a feel for it later. So they're half the price of the equivalent potion, so I think I'm going to buy them. So that's $3.75. That seems like a sensible deal to me. Let's also get rid of the stuff we picked up, because we don't want to weigh ourselves down. It's interesting. Where did they come from? I thought I sold all that. Didn't just pick them up. I must have just missed them when I did my original selling. Okay, that's fine. Oh, and sell those as well. Didn't want to get rid of that for whatever reason. Hold on to it for the time being. Nothing here I want to get rid of just yet. What have we got here? Scroll Shield. +4, yeah, it seems useful. Guess if we run out, we've got people who can do that already. Unbreakable Heart. +4 morale bonus on saving throws against mine affecting, such as Crushing Despair, Rage or Fear. Maybe useful. Divine Favour. Maybe useful. Scroll of Bane. Don't think that'll be useful because it will never stick. We'll get rid of the light wounds because we've got better ones. Cause Fear, again, there's no point. There'll be other things she's casting. Bless, Expeditious Retreat, increasing speed, okay. Doom, get rid of that. That's Cure Light Wounds. Shield of Faith, okay. It's got a fire belly. Magical fire wounds your belly, granting you fire resistance of 5. Might be useful at some point. Protection from law. Don't feel like we'll need that one. Hold on to that for now. That for now. Hold on to them. Okay, I think that's alright for now. I feel that's as tidied up as it's going to be. Interesting. So now I could afford that bag of holding and do what I was planning to do. So I just got to remember to do that when I get there. Keep moving around. There's Mr. Land. Here for a chat. I've been waiting for you to come and see what strange beast you've taken into your party. I'd like to know more about you. Let me guess, your question is, can you wear a hat with your one horn? Am I right? So, can you wear a hat with one horn? Sure I can, but certain designs don't suit me too well. You speak common much better than the rest of your tribe. Funnily enough, common isn't all that common underground, Land said. But your observation is correct. I used to live on the surface with my parents for a while and I had a chance to learn a couple of things. The language and the fact that every peasant who sees my scaly mug screams demon and runs away. I don't know if you're interested, but my mum wasn't from an underground tribe. She was a smuggler, that kind that used the dungeons of Canabris to secretly move and store goods. One time, 2 gangs couldn't agree on how to share a prime cut, got into a fight and the winners threw the losers down a hole, dead and living alike. My dad went to check if the corpses had anything useful on them, and he found a girl from the surface, barely clinging to life. An incredible feeling sparked between them, or maybe the girl just liked men with scales and a cat nose. That might be it. One way or another, he got her back to her feet, and he later even left his home caves. She left her smuggling behind, and they began an honest life together. That's the delightful story of how Land came into this world. The next chapter, however, my family and I never stayed in one place for long. We lived sometimes on the surface, sometimes underground. We couldn't find a place to call home. Living in the caves was hard on my mum, and my dad's appearance raised too many questions in Mendev. They're at war against the demons after all. In the end, my parents decided to stop making each other miserable and separated. My father and I returned to our tribe. I think the peasants screaming demon had something to do with it, or maybe Dad just couldn't stand life without rat tail soup. I wouldn't rule out that possibility. Did you come with me so you could see the surface again? No, that wasn't it. I just don't have much patience for certain types of creatures, demons I mean. If they want to destroy Canabris, I'll be on the side of people they're attacking. Lan looks away. Lan, you're my companion and companions should trust each other. I'm counting on you to give me honest answers, not excuses. I guess you're right, I shouldn't have been so evasive. It's just that some things are hard to talk about. My family, for example. My birth, hell take me, turned out to be a great misfortune for my parents, all because I'm relatively healthy. I'm the best thing that can come from a marriage between a cave-dwelling mongrel and anything from the surface. A healthy child was the right number of hands and feet. No apparent defects, no missing organs or other problems. They saw hope in me, so risked having more children. They thought it would somehow be all right. A growl edges into Land's voice. I could have had 4 brothers. The first was born 2 years after me and died 3 years later. He didn't have a nose. Nothing even remotely resembling one. He could only breathe through his mouth. Mum and Dad were afraid to take their eyes off him for fear he'd choke and suffocate on something, but in the end it was his weak heart that killed him. Then there was another pregnancy and birth. I pretended I was sleeping but snuck out of my bedroom and listened under the door. All those hours. It's very strange, but I never heard the newborn screaming. Mum moaning, yes. The priest praying. Then I dared to open the door a little and looked inside. The priest stood there very pale. One of them was holding something, a small object that fit in his palm. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" And the other said, "I think it's a head." Please go on. It turns out that this time Mum was expecting triplets. The first of the babies was born in pieces, and the 2 others didn't live long enough to draw their first breath. About 3 weeks later, my father took me to the caves. He didn't want to leave, I could see it in his face, but I think my mum and he decided it together. The curse my people have carried since the First Crusade stood between them, not to mention the 4 dead babies, and old age was rapidly taking its toll on my father. After we returned to the cave, he only lived another 4 years. So if you're asking me why I decided to go up with you to the surface and join the Crusades, well, answer is, I've always wanted to. I was afraid to leave my tribe, but it always haunted me that I'd die in a world where 4 Crusades could do nothing to stop the beast from the abyss, and the number of victims kept growing. I want to change that, or at least try to. And if changing things is too much to ask, then at least I get a little revenge. The ones who are behind the whirlwind owe me a great debt. The lives of 4 brothers, all my mother's tears, my father's broken heart. It's a lot. It's so much that killing a couple of demons won't do it for me. I want to do something real, and I'm ready to pay any price. Call it my personal crusade if you like. Dan gives you a slanted grin. I used to think that things would be better if I'd never been born, but now I think I was born for this, to settle the score. Why didn't you go up and join the Crusaders before? I couldn't just abandon my tribe. I'm their best hunter. They'll have it much harder without me, but now the demons have nearly destroyed Canabris and the caves almost collapsed on our heads. Sitting and waiting it out just wasn't an option anymore. Anyway, I'm more useful up here than I am down there, plus the chief let me go, which means my debt on the tribe has been paid. Would you like to try and find your mother? No. The word flies from Lan's mouth faster than an arrow. Then after a pause he continues, I don't want to meet her, not because I feel any resentment. It's just that she's a half-elf. She's barely got her first grey hair, and I'll be a ramshackle old man. She's buried enough children. There's no need to make her witness the death of another one. I hope you understand. I'm very sorry, truly. Well then, I'm very lucky. I've met someone who not only helped me choose the right path, but is happy to listen to me whining. Your parents' love didn't survive hardship, but that doesn't mean the same thing will happen to you. What if you find true love someone who won't leave you no matter what? Nah, that's a bit slushy, I'm not going that route. Thanks for sharing then. Thanks for listening. I don't want him to tell the story again. Mongrels have short lifespans, but you don't look like you're getting old or dying. How old are you? I'm as old as I look, no surprises there, but remember Sol? He's 10 years older than me. I remember him back when he was a fearless warrior, and day by day I watched him turn into an old man, him and my father. It happens very quickly. First you miss a shot because you don't see a target as clearly as you used to. You think it's because your eyes are tired. You tell yourself it's getting better tomorrow. Then you notice you're having trouble breathing, that climbing is harder than before. Lan clenches and unclenches his human fist. Your fingers stop bending. You have to tie your sword to your hand. You can't even put your greaves on without help. When you're washing your face in a stream, sometimes you catch sight of a grey-haired, wrinkled old man you don't recognise, and this goes on until one day you come across a cave beast and you realise you can't outrun it. My dad kept diaries marking all the signs, and I saw it too. The last year I had to help him get out of bed, help him dress, remind him to eat. Sometimes he forgot my name. I told him that we should have stayed on the surface, and he joked that dodging a goddess was behaviour unworthy of a crusader. He meant Pharasma. Every morning I wake up and check how I feel. There is no signs yet. Even so, I know I don't have much time. I need to do something useful before I forget why I came here. I want to talk about Wendwag. Are you sure? All right. Tell me about your connection to Wendwag. My connection to Wendwag, where do I start? Lan turns the unexpressive reptile half of his face to you. We grew up together, trained together. She was the chief's daughter. She was groomed to be the best of all her life. And then I came along. We were rivals, but we dragged each other out of tight spots too. I've always been drawn to grand heroic gestures, sometimes idiotic ones, whereas Wendu liked to roam unexplored passages, find new caves and making maps. She wanted to be a great huntress, the one who'd make it through the shield maze, but instead it'd be better if she died. The death of a friend is painful, but watching a friend become a shadow of their former self is unbearable. She doesn't think she's a shadow of her former self. Of course she thinks she did everything right, because the second she starts to doubt herself, she'll have to face the truth, to admit that she's just a cannibal that demons use as they wish. Lan frowns, almost like a wince. She wants to get stronger and stronger, but for what? I'll never understand what drives her. Were you just friends, or were you more than that? Wow, you really don't pull your punches, do you? Lan exhales loudly. There was a time when I asked myself the same question. Wendwag knew me better than anyone. She understood me better than anyone. She was my first woman, but we never loved each other. Maybe I could have grown to love her, but it always seems like she never understood what love was. Maybe she wasn't capable of those kind of feelings. Thanks, I found out everything I wanted to know. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Tell me about your people. Of course. What would you like to know? What's it like living in your caves? Oh, Lan gives you a broad smile. His smile is as strange as if it falters where human features meet his animal ones. Imagine that in the entire world there's only a few hundred like you. There's not an inch of fertile ground anywhere, nowhere to grow grain for bread or cotton and linen for cloth. Your neighbours are beasts who want to eat you, or parasites who want to infect you with their larvae, and then eat you. And it's not that bad, because you can try to eat most of the things that are trying to eat you. sometimes at the risk of getting poisoned, sometimes with almost no risk at all. In the worst years, there's not a single living thing anywhere to be found, predator or prey. That's when you eat mushroom soup. I'd say 3 times a day, but there was barely enough for once every 3 days. Land shrugs, but life underground has its upsides too, pun intended. There's no risk of losing the roof over your head. There's no bad weather, not counting the earthquakes, of course. Are you really the descendants of the first Crusaders? More like demon spawn, aren't we? Sad but true. Without the demons, there would be no mongrels. It's the magic of the whirlwind that affected our ancestors and made their children the way we are. Like most in our tribe, Chief Soul fancies himself a descendant of the underground Crusaders, the ones our heroic ancestors left to guard the caves. I don't know if it's true or not. The angel came to our caves for a reason. Maybe he remembered us. Those were evil and dangerous times after the First Crusade. Hundreds of Crusaders began having children, and the babies were born with fangs and horns and warts that covered half their face. People didn't like the new look. The Inquisitors sure didn't. See, our ancestors fled persecution and made a home for themselves down here under the ground. They probably intended to find a cure for their children and hoped to return in time, but it never happened. Instead, the whirlwind's terrible legacy was passed down from generation to generation. Mongol parents can only guess what their child will look like. Each of us is born with a new mutation. Many mutations are fatal. Man stops, then goes on quietly. Down in the caves, we usually don't congratulate the family for the birth of a child until they turn at least 3. Most don't even get a name before that. There's no point. It hasn't been that long since the First Crusade. Why do you know so little about your ancestors? Our lives are much shorter than most uplanders. Up here, only a few generations passed, and many still live who remember old Socorus. It's as good as it stood, untouched by the demons. Queen Galfrey, for example. But where we live, mongrels start getting old much earlier than humans, much faster, and with much more devastating consequences. Few live past 40, and fewer still live long enough to die of old age. Hunger, disease, and monsters from the deep are more effective killers than time. So for us, the story of the First Crusade is a legend that happened generations ago. There are no living witnesses. We have a tale of the wise and great ancestors who left us to stand guard in the catacombs. But in reality, I suspect there were desperate wretches who couldn't figure out how to dispel the demon plague and who were abandoned by their own kind. Do you have a way to tell day and night? You can't see the sun in your caves. Every Mongol settlement has a big gong, which we treat like a relic. The gong keeper hits it twice a day to mark the beginning and end, but this custom doesn't keep time very precisely. Every Mongol child has snuck up to the gong to strike it at the wrong time at least once, just out of pure mischief. Nothing could keep me away from it, not even the fact that I only have one ear, which means it would take double the punishment once I was caught. So sometimes the wrong strikes get mixed in with the right ones, and the tribe can't find themselves jumping up to greet each other, up to greet the morning in the middle of the night. Do Mongol tribes fight each other? There were some skirmishes, and I've been forced to kill my kinfolk before too. Land speaks in a steady voice. Fights most often break out over food. We have laws in the caves, written and unwritten rules that we follow. We respect one another's right to live, but hunger, it can push a person over the edge. You're the only member of the Netherhome tribe to call your people mongrels. Why is that? Because all of Galarian calls us that. I don't see the point of all the hemming and hawing over what we're called. Anyone who finds it offensive or takes issue with it can lead the charge against the name. No one's stopping them, but personally I'm not going to pick a fight over something as unimportant as a name. Thank you, I found out everything I wanted to know. What do you think of life on the surface? It must be very different from life underground. Of course, as far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a different place to be. It's easier to get good food and water, not to mention build a house and even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats, or maybe foxes stealing chickens. As for the kind of lives you have, I heard a story about demon worshippers abducting a whole family and sacrificing them one by one while the others watched. But there were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they killed the villains and saved everyone. And I heard another story. A young blacksmith lost his arm in a fire, couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their best and lived from hand to mouth, but they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a traveller one night on the road, but then there were some brave Crusader knights nearby and they caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after, his wife smothered their baby and hanged herself. Up here, the same person can proudly say he's protecting the innocents from demons, and then look the other way while the same innocents starve just because they were born into a poor family. Queen Galfrey prolongs her life with sun orchid elixirs that cost enough to feed an entire city, but in our caves everyone is equally poor, and if one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't abandon our own in times of trouble. That's the power of a tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that some get everything and others get nothing. I might just be a naive fool from the caves, but I don't understand how it's possible to have so much more and share so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking to. You must know life on the surface much better than I do. I'd never leave a needy person in trouble. I've been given more than most, which means I'm now more able to help others. Again, a bit wussy, but we'll go with that. A fitting reply. Don't take my words as a reproach. I like grumbling as much as cracking jokes. Dan is obviously trying to muster a friendly smile, but it's an expression his face doesn't accommodate very naturally. You said you were prepared to risk your life to do something meaningful. What exactly do you mean? To invent a new salad and have it named after me, Lan remarks grimly, then he sighs. Truth be told, I don't know. It would be much easier if all I really wanted was to kill demons, then a few more demons, then more demons after that. Good honest rage and no needless brooding. I think I actually envy the warriors that can live like that. But I can't. If life's taught me anything, it's that there's no easy choices. Dying a glorious death isn't enough. Some heroes of the Crusade did that and also saved entire settlements, erected the wardstones. Their actions kept their lands of Mendev safe for decades. That's what I want, for my dumb short life to have meant something. You think I have an exaggerated opinion of myself? Some scaly freak crawls out of the cave and wants to take control of the wardstones and flaunt Iomede's banner. Any fool can charge at the front lines of the demonic armies and die there. But what good will that do? I want something meaningful, you know? Even I have to pay the highest price, especially if I have to pay it. There are plenty of worthier people who need to survive the war and tell everyone else what nutcases we were. Thank you for your answers. So long. Wow, that really was a beast. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see what Indara has to say. An imposing young Oread is surrounded by a crowd of crusaders who are hanging on to her every word. I hope this example clearly illustrates the difference between Jistka legionaries from the last war and the crusaders. The perfection of form and spirit that were imbued with during creation turned them into parts of a well-balanced war machine, not a ragtag bunch of individuals, but a united whole. Now tell me again, why am I supposed to be impressed by your reckless assaults, where everyone is fighting for their ego and for their right to beat their peers to a swift but pointless heroic sacrifice? Some of the crusaders grumble unhappily, but it's clear they are captivated by the woman's words. The only exception is a scraggly and dishevelled halfling monk whose puffy black eye gives him away as a brawler and a troublemaker. He enthusiastically pushes forward and tries to engage, but one of his friends swiftly jabs him in the back with an elbow, making the poor fellow pause to catch his breath. Quietly listen to the discussion. One of the crusaders angrily curls his fist tightly and retorts with a burst of passion. If those gists of yours, or whatever, had come for us, we'd have their guts for garters. You think we never fought a mighty adversary before? The soldier's stern facade cannot fully conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy his confrontation. The crusaders around him look upon their exotic opponent with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. The woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. I would love to see you storm a 60-foot tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back, and I have you know these fortifications were defended by Jistkan priest craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. They use the enemies you cannot defeat as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her clothes with a pointed nonchalance. Her voice takes on a lecturer's tone. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher on the history of the warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. The woman looks at you and flashes an amused smile. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? Who are you? I am Indara, a warrior magus and a scholar of classical warfare from Gurund. The woman peers at you apprehensively, then sighs. I admit that I'm mildly offended by the fact that my name is entirely unfamiliar to you, but I'm willing to accept that this is due to Avistan's isolation from the sophisticated culture of the world at large. You've come a long way to be here. I'd like to think of myself as an inhabitant of Galarian, and I don't narrowly identify with any country in particular. Why do you come here? To witness a legendary war, the confrontation between denizens of a plain famous for its love of violence and the crusaders from every continent, united by the common goal of defending their home, an epic struggle of colossal proportions that hasn't been particularly epic so far, truth be told. Pink Eye, the monk with the black eye, grins and mutters under his breath, "Maybe she just can't see it from here. The view will get way more epic if she stops hiding among us and takes a walk outside." The woman smirks contemptuously. She does not deem the monk's words worthy of comment. "It looks like you know more about warfare than any of us." "Oh, I am hearing things, or did someone finally acknowledge my competence in the art of warfare? Perhaps there is sufficient open-minded person among the Crusaders after all. I find myself pleasantly surprised." "Why don't you join the Crusades and show them how fighting should be done?" No, I'm a historian, an analyst, a theorist. Do you know what these three words have in common? They describe a mortal woman who does not participate in the conflict upon which her thesis will be founded. But then again, I will hardly be able to describe the mess as anything other than a feeble likeness of the last war of Giscard. The monk with the damaged eye grins slyly and comments, the more dangerous the upcoming scuffle is, the more motivated we are to find clever and pretty words to justify not actually doing the fighting. What is this last war that you mentioned? The last war of Giscard, of course, a large-scale conflict that took place 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. It was a war against the Osirian pharaoh of forgotten plagues, the war that ended the legendary Giscard Imperium, an epic struggle that became the most vibrant page in the military history. Alas, all conflicts that followed it were but a pale shadow, including the one I'm witnessing here. Why do you find the last war of Giscard so inspiring? Imagine legions of golems imbued with extraplanar spirits marching into battle. Imagine flying cities that swoop out of the clouds like terrifying monstrous birds of prey to drop forces on top of enemy castles. Picture gigantic mechanisms powered by captive and very angry demons and devils. Imagine standing in the warpath of walking citadels or having to cover your ears to block out the sound of cannons loaded by shrieking elementals. Finally, imagine the ultimate weapon that defeated the Giscard, the deadly night plague. This affliction was an attack dog, a trained epidemic, a tamed pestilence, striking only those who its master wanted killed. Imagine all these terrors and understand that no flight of fancy can even come close to the horror of nightmares that they made real. How do you know so much about Giscard's last war? I can say without false modesty there is no more authoritative researcher on Galarian when it comes to the history of warfare, 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. I've dedicated my whole life to this subject. I've personally visited old battlefields and studied the most mysterious and forbidden archives containing chronicles of ancient wars, sometimes risking my life in the process. I saw a fallen sky city on the Shori Empire with my own eyes. I ripped out the control crystal from an exterminator-class combat golem that guarded a Giscard laboratory with my own hands. These fingers held the glass flask that the servants of Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues used to create the first generation of pestilence that devastated the Giscard Imperium. How do I know so much? I saw and touched everything I'm telling you about. You're wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. Allow me to explain. A debate. I will be happy to prove that the current conflict can't hold a candle to the last war of Giscard. Very well, the last war of Giscard was waged using a significantly greater number of troops. Both sides actively relied on reinforcements from Allied planes, and their strategic planning was perfected through no fewer than 7 rounds of intensive design. None of the above applies to the war of yours. Compared to the Giscard, we are but stone club wielding kobolds. I would like to conclude my thesis with a few words of wise counsel from Dagon, an advisor to the Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues. I doubt you will comprehend the true genius of this statement, but here it is nevertheless. A gadfly sees the ox pays no heed to the gadfly, but crimson fever takes them both. Okay, so we've got 2 choices. Now that one's more accurate, but I have a feeling that failing this actually does you better. The principles of war are always the same. Weapons, causes and resources may change, but the foundations remain immutable. Then why don't we study tactics by watching a couple of rock-wielding goblins fighting over a dead rat? Indara's sarcastic words produce bursts of laughter from her audience. Pink Eye, the monk with the black eye, stifles a giggle and then looks like he wants to say something, but ultimately holds himself back. Points at the monk with the black eye. I think he has something to add. The halfling perks up, takes a deep breath, and bellows dramatically. Oh, enough. I was patient with the so-called expert, but I've got something to say. Firstly, screw you for disrespecting us and what we're doing because of some dusty old books. Secondly, I heard tales about the epic wars of old in Nex, Tianzia, and elsewhere, and each time they claimed it was slaughter no future war could hold a candle to. So far, the old farts while honest soldiers like us get ready for the next battle, because we need to go out there and fight. So later we can say our war was the most legendary of all the young whippersnappers who won't be nearly as good as we were. Thirdly, you claim to know war, but do you really? You can wag your tongue, but can you actually fight? Or are we listening to an empty chatterbox that's read a few books but hasn't even been in a brawl? You can enter a barber shop and run into a dozen such experts. Show us what you're worth so we can be sure there is something to respect. The halfling starts, feistily rolling up his sleeves. Indara is slightly taken aback and looks at the monk with obvious displeasure. I'm not going to compete with you in brutishness. Look for another pugilist if you wish to have the symmetry of your face restored. The warrior woman raises her chin and coldly gazes at the crowd of crusaders cheering and whooping for the monk. It looks like holding a scholarly debate in a godforsaken tavern was a mistake. Have you changed your mind about joining the Crusaders? I don't see the point. You Crusaders appear to be confident in your skills. If nothing else, you've presented your arguments to me with extreme confidence. This is where she unbuckles her sword belt and hands you the weapon. This is a worthy blade. It will be of use, not only for the strong, but also for the wise. And this is where I bid you farewell. Before the end of the day, I was planning to observe how winged demons use pack tactics to drive their prey like herds of livestock. It's about time I got back to my research. The hint of smile graces Indara's lips, while she sees disappointment in the eyes of many crusaders around her. Stay safe. The monk nudges you with that elbow, his friendly jab perhaps harder than intended due to his enthusiasm. Yet another egghead, full of theory but no sense. To understand war, you need to live it, take part in it, not gawk at it from the library. The monk takes off a pair of plate gauntlets and hands them to you. If you ever see this chatterbox sling muck at Crusaders again, use this to smack her across the face and tell her I said hi. So we got Power Fist and the Gauntlet punching. Excellent. So, what does that look like? We got 717, Flaming Sword, okay. And we've got the Gauntlet grants the wearer a +1 enchant bonus on attack and damage rolls with unarmed attacks and natural weapons. Now, I don't know if that works for the mongrel, for Lan, because I think they treat his bows like natural weapons. So I'm going to put it on him and we can test it. Okay, let's come up here. My goodness, I might actually get somewhere soon. Hey there, during that march through the dungeons we never got the chance to exchange a proper greeting. It's high time I shake your hand. I'd like to know more about you. Of course, ask anything, I'll answer honestly. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I'm a little bit from Geb, a little bit from Katapesh, but mostly from the Knights of Iomedae. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any other place. You've come to Mendev by a long road, haven't you? A very long one. So he looks at you cheerfully. A traveller is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I have only 3 tales of interest, and I'd like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show for myself when it's time to start bragging. And that just won't do, especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of battle from chupacabras. Chupacabras? Fascinating. Can't they drink their victims' blood during combat and gain strength from it? Oh yes, Cedar's face grows serious, and they do it very quickly. They bite one victim, suck out their blood, and then strike the next victim quick as lightning. But now you've tricked me and I've started telling the tale. I may as well do it properly. Picture a small town in Kadira, and down in the dungeon there's 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them. The rope's been bought, but sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly a paladin of Iomedae appears in the doorway and offers the murderers a deal. If they go with her to fight some monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that is. There's a big difference between imminent death and probable death, with a glimmer of hope, wouldn't you say? So here we are travelling through the desert, me and my friend, priestess of Serenre, along with the little rat fellow who asked for our help, and the 2 cutthroats. We get to the rat folk village and see their bodies lying around, all drained dry. We figured we'd have to fight vampires. That's how the little rat folk described the monsters who attacked their village. That's why we went in all brazen-like. The sun was high and the vampires couldn't attack until dusk. But we never got a chance to look around. Black shadows quick as the wind attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we pulled from the gallows got killed right away. The second one ran for his life. That left me, the rat folk, and Kira. That was the name of the priestess, and we all steeled ourselves for the fight of our lives. And just when we thought the end had come, with the chupacabras surrounding me like a pack of dogs around a bear, one rat folk fiend wounded and down, and the teeth of the quickest of the blasted monsters clenched on Kira's shoulder, right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast, attacking Kira. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, this was it. A moment before we were lost, and a moment later we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead one by one. The little rat folk is reunited with his family, who are hiding in the basement. The priestess and I closed the eyes of the boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the god keep his soul in the journey through the afterlife. That's a good story. He could have died in disgrace on the gallows, but instead he died a hero. And I'd fancy the stunt earned him some points at his final judgment. It's smart to remember our journey doesn't end in death. Had it not been for that mercy, Milos, that was his name, would be hanged from a noose, and me, Kyra, and all the rat folk would be dead in that village. Someone told me that a kind deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious. By the same token, an evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more horrifying. That's what I really wanted to say. The chupacabras were just a good starting point. What made you become a paladin of Iomedae? Sela's gaze sharpens momentarily, then she sighs. That's a serious question and a good one. You should ask it of your companions, but it's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Solku with the other homeless orphans. I stole, I fought, I was a hired sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Solku was a city of orphans, widows, and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among their victims. People there heard about the new deaths before they'd finished mourning the previous losses. One day, a group of knights of Iomedae brought a glimmer of hope to the city, but while others saw them as saviours and protectors, I was busy pricing up their noble horses and their gleaming mithril armour, wondering just how much one of those pretty swords would fetch. Haha. A thief lives one day at a time, that's what they say. I was the type that never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak into the knight's camp and steal one of their mithril helms. Sela pauses, her voice sad and measured, and I was right there when a gnoll attacked the helm's owner. Akemi was her name, and dealt a blow to her unprotected head. A gnoll, like all of the others, she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of the Solku. That one blow was fatal, but who was really to blame for her death? The gnoll attacker or the young thief named Sela? Even a seemingly small misdeed can have terrible consequences. Yes, you're right 1,000 times over. I hate to say it, but I just didn't see it back then, and if I'd never got that lesson, my eyes would probably never have been opened. Who knows what would have happened to me if it wasn't for Akemi and her bravery, and her death. Maybe the world would know Sela as a bandit, not as a knight and protector of those in need. There's a saying I like to remember. People rarely find redemption on their own. Someone must show them the way. But you were asking what brought me into the ranks of Iomedae's warriors. We've all chosen the paladin path for our own reasons. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some by a desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through penance and debt unpaid. The day Akemi died, protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realised it wouldn't make the world any better, and I decided that instead I'd try and take her place. I'd become who she had been and protect the innocence that she would no longer be able to protect. What are the principles of the paladins of Iomedae? I'll tell you. I like to recite our code. It feels like I said it 1,000 times, but it never gets old. There is strength in these words. After a pause, she begins, her voice slow and meditative. I will learn the weight of my sword. Without my heart to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost it all. If I betray my heart, I have died. I will have faith in the inheritor. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion, and I will not tarnish her glory through base actions. I am the first into battle and last to leave it. I will not take prisoner by my free will. I will not surrender those under my command, and I will never abandon a companion, though I will honour sacrifice freely given. I will guard the honour of my fellows, both through thought and deed, and I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I may force my enemies to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from an equal. I will give honour to worthy enemies and contempt to the rest. I will suffer death before dishonour. I will be temperate in my actions and moderate in my behaviour. I will strive to emulate Iomede's perfection. Thank you, I've learned everything I want to know. Irabeth said your friend Janna Aldori is missing. Do you know where we should look for her? Irabeth is worried about her fighters. I understand that. I want to look for Janna myself, so I didn't distract you. But since you're in this too, I could use some help. Janna and I met in Canabris a few days ago and just hit it off. We went drinking together. We went to that unforgettable celebration together too, but we got separated in the crowd. So we should start looking from the main square. That's where I last saw her. Seela frowns. Janna is a good fighter, even if she is green. She couldn't have become an Aldori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. What do you think of what's going on in Canabris? It's complete chaos. It's lucky we're here to handle it, right? Seela smiles brightly. Then she gives you a worried look. Does the way I talk bother you? I know I can seem blasé. Many good people and our protector Terendelev died here in Canabris. A paladin of Iomade is expected to be properly respectful and solemn. But I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Grief is a weapon they'll use against you. I can undermine a warrior spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demon and cultists from the city. If we want to win, we can't be mourning our deceased day and night. Plus, joy heals the soul. It's nice when you and your commander think alike. Seela smiles softly. You've performed an action that was chaotic. Right. Is fighting demons all you want, or are you looking for something more? How about covering myself in glory and becoming the hero of 100 ballads, or at least a dozen if they're lively ones? Seela eyes shining cheerfully. Anyway, to be more serious, the area around the Whirlwind is the best place for a paladin who wishes to defend the weak and serve good. Being part of the crusade is reward enough for me. There's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticising my brothers in arms, but the Eagle Watch and the other orders are focused on just one aim, the war against the Whirlwind. That's why they can sometimes overlook the smaller things, ordinary misfortunes, you know. I always liked being a wandering knight because at any moment I could get up and go and help a poor rat folk whose family had been kidnapped, or an old woman whose favourite dog had gone missing. So here's my answer. I don't have some big important goal, but I'll be happy to help those who need it, a little bit here and there. Thank you for speaking with me. Until next time. See you. Okay. There's that. Let's collect that. Irabeth. Any success? How is the city? What is our main objective? You heard what the demon said. There's going to desecrate the Wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the Whirlwind. That would be an even worse disaster than the Whirlwind's expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabris, but every city with the Wardstone will be destroyed, including the capital. We can't allow that, no matter what. We will retake it, even destroy it if we must. Iomede's gift must not become a weapon of the abyss. These Wardstones, what are they? They're our greatest treasure, the shield given to us by Iomade herself and placed in Canabris and other Mendavian cities and fortresses by her herald. The chain of the Wardstones forms a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the Whirlwind and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if the barrier falls. Allow me to ask a few personal questions. Please, but I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss. Where are you from? I was born in Canabris. I grew up in a farm just outside it, but my way back home lay at the end of the long and winding road. It took me years of travelling through foreign lands before I came to be where I always belonged. How do you become a paladin? A bitter smile appears on the half-orc's face. I don't much like to remember it. Believe it or not, the story of how I became a paladin is also the story of how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders. May their souls stand together in Iomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy. But my father was an orc. You'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser, and more pious servant of the goddess than he. But he still, all his life, he was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older and it was time for me to serve, I decided anywhere but Canabris. That was where my father had served loyally, and its only reward had been injustice. Besides, the witch hunters led by the Honourable Prelate Holroon stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they have done for a strange girl with green skin? Instead I went to... A smirk that looks like the most painful grimace crossed her face. You can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose Last Wall, of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in a country that was battling the orcs of Beltzen since its foundation. There were many there like me, but we were all treated as second-class citizens. To the locals, my green skin was worse than leper scabs. Even my brother in faith kept their distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me the powers of a paladin. But even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking on doors before I realised the simple truth. I serve Diomede, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them, so I left, as a paladin, but not a knight. It's probably hard for you as a human to imagine what it's like when the very colour of your skin and the fangs in your mouth make people in the street turn their heel to avoid you. I mean no offence, of course. How did you come to join a knightly order? I left Lastwell and went travelling. The goddess guided me, and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims. Of course, I wandered the river kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting time, that my true place was in Canabris, but I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back, but in the end, divine providence had brought me to my senses. It happened in Timon. I was tracking a gang of bandits while my employer suspected was a cover for Rasmirian spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple of Zon Kuthon. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, the person who was destined to become my wife, Anevia, but that's another story. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread through all of Avistan, including Mendev. Worse, the documents clearly showed that their allies, the Templars of Ivory Labyrinth, had infested my native Canabris and were even among the ranks of the paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would be a tantamount to desertion. Luckily, I was no longer alone, and Evia was eager to destroy the cultists as I was. And Evia and I hurried to Canabris. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated that the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigation, and my beloved, the half-orc, smiles warmly. She knew her way around working locks, tailing people, and trading information with the city's bottom feeders. Soon we defeated, alas, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of the Eagle Watch. Can you imagine? While Prelate Holroon was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. At first she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but then she offered its command to me and put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there's one small catch. I wasn't a knight, but I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progression through the ranks. I can't imagine the followers of Zonkuthum in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other? They should, but Baphomet's minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zonkuthon's butchers as eagerly as Imede's knights. The cultists from that unholy temple didn't know the true face of their associates in Canabris. We ourselves learned the truth much later, after getting to the bottom of their nest. How did the people of Canabris feel about your background? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently the people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There were already many like me here, and we don't have any problems. Though the locals do have their superstitions, Mendev is as merciless as Last Wall. They just have different sets of victims. I keep seeing those same sideways looks and scowls, hearing the familiar whispers, but where once they used to whisper behind my back and point at me, now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange, to be on the other side of humiliation, to wipe the spit from your face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit at someone else. You must have figured out by now I'm talking about tieflings. It's true there are many of them among the cultists, and few of them among our crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be our allies. People shun them, call them Aralu's spawn, or worse, and if they chose to be born like that, I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood and join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as an enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in all my time in Conabras. Tell me about Anevia. We met in Timon as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to Conabras together to expose the Templars of Ivory Labyrinth. The day of the night Queen knighted me was the second happiest day of my life. The first was the day of our wedding. But Anevia isn't just my beloved, she's my staunchest ally. We share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. Thank you for saving her back then, the day Conabras fell. Before her return, the only thing giving me the strength to protect the Defender's heart was the hope that I'd see her again. We are in your debt. Thank you for your answers. Tell me about the Eagle Watch. It was a small order, created to fight not only demons, but also the enemy within, to maintain the purity of the Paladin ranks, prevent heresy and identify spies, and it's failed miserably at that. The Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated it and formed their nest within its ranks. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Anevia and I practically built it from scratch. We got rid of deadweight people who weren't committed. We organised ways to transmit messages and orders safely. We introduced reliable ciphers. We found tacit allies around the city, from crusader orders to street beggars. This was my personal crusade to oppose the city of the Templars who had infested it, and I thought I was winning. I could feel it. We were close to driving the cultists out of Conabras, but, Erebeth frowns, it's hard to admit, but those successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters at the Defender's Heart. The cultists would have served up the city on a platter to the demons. The lines on Erebeth's forehead soften. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing we achieved something. Thank you. There is a tiefling chained up in the Defender's Heart. What can you tell me about him? Woljif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings operating in Conabras. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them, and the rest managed to escape. We have nowhere else to keep him apart from the Defender's Heart. That's hardly a prison. Woljif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free, or have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? She squints at you thoughtfully, then shrugs. If you want to recruit Woljif and put him to good use, go ahead and take him off our guard's hands. We can ill afford to let a soldier spend his day watching over a middling thief. I hope the tiefling proves useful should you decide to take him along. I have to go. Go. May Iomedae keep you safe. Okay, Hillel. A tall, athletic man greets you. His hair is prematurely grey and shorn close to his head in a military style. He is lean and well-groomed, and a monocle twinkles coldly in his eye. The bold set of his jaw and his large but agile frame attests that here is a man who's always ready to be on the move. Greetings, I am Hiller, Venture Captain of the Pathfinder Society. I am the superior officer among Pathfinders in this region of Mendev. However, the Society is running almost no operations here right now. Besides me, there are almost no Pathfinders here. Actually, I'm only stuck here because of an old feud with the demon worshipper known as the Spinner of Nightmares. I've had to work alone, without the support of the Society, but I've made a lot of acquaintances among my local mercenaries and daring fighters. If you do need any good fighters for an honest cause, talk to me. Tell me about your confrontation with the Spinner of Nightmares. It all began with the task of the Pathfinder Society. I arrived in Nerosian with my team to investigate the sudden death of a famous crusader, Baron Falron. We soon focused on a small hospital for the wealthy where Falron was being treated shortly before his death. It turned out that a gang of Baphomet cultists calling themselves the Labyrinth of Mind had gotten a foothold at the hospital. They were obsessed with twisting the minds of the victims and targeting fragile people too weak to resist. The hospital was filled with perfect victims, isolated for weeks from the outside world, completely helpless, and when they returned they were different, almost normal. But the moment they heard a certain phrase, something dark awoke in their mind, and they transformed into servants of Baphomet, ready to lie, betray, and even kill. The Labyrinth of Mind was preparing to infiltrate all the elite circles in Mendev, but Baron Falron stopped them. He was too loyal to his oath and too resistant to their spells. He fought for his freedom until the strain broke his heart. We opened and cleaned the city of Baphomet's pit of vipers. Their den was a cradle of sin and filth. They cast spells on each other, and their loathsome fantasies stepped real from their minds into the world. They dreamt of horrible and forbidden things, and they fought like mad. We burned the place to the ground and slaughtered everyone we could. But the leaders of the cult were able to flee, and they were set upon revenge. They abducted my daughter Lowry, who served under my command in the Pathfinder Society. They left me a note full of tart insults, mockery and sneers. From that note I learned the name of my enemy, the Spinner of Nightmares. A few months later I confirmed that she was the leader of the Labyrinth of Mind. My hunt had begun. I would get Lowry back at any cost. He grits his teeth with bulldog determination. I want to know more about you. What exactly are you interested in? I'm a common Pathfinder. There are many others like me. Fate and my orders brought me to this land. How did you end up here? I was working... Oh, we've done that already, haven't we? Tell me about your daughter. As a girl, Larry was just an angel. We lost her mother early on. She was left to follow my example, a drifter with little idea how to talk to a 10-year-old girl. But even with questionable parenting, Larry managed to grow into a wonderful girl, brave, smart, beautiful, and entirely unbearable. She always argued with me about everything. When Larry was 18 and told me she was going to be a Pathfinder, all I said was, "Alright." I knew there was no use to try and talk her out of it, and she was a fine Pathfinder. Hitler's fist clenched with a painful sounding crack. I'll never forgive the Spinner of Nightmares for taking my girl from me. Tell me about the Pathfinder Society. The Pathfinder Society is a global organisation that unites opportunists and adventurers of all kinds. We explore the world and uncover its secrets, travel and sometimes face down threats. In times of trouble, the latter becomes our primary focus. We're driven by curiosity and the desire to make the world a better place. And of course, some seek profit or hunger for glory. But in any case, it's hard work. They might send you somewhere on a mission. Weaklings have little place in the society. It's more for seasoned fighters. There are society lodges in many cities. The closest one is in Nerosian. They're each led by venture captains like me. The Grand Lodge is in Absalom, the centre of the world. The Decemvirate sits there, the anonymous council of all our leaders. I have no more questions. I need brave and experienced fighters. You can rely on my lads, but you will have to pay. 4,500 is the standard rate. Okay, so I'm going to say it's unacceptable for now, but I will be getting a mercenary. I just want to spend some time working out the best one, and as I have talked for an hour and a half and I haven't moved out of the Defender's Heart yet, I think that's a good place to stop. So thank you for listening. If you managed to get through this, well done, and I'll see you next time.